Welcome back to the LCS Spring Split. I'm joined here by Vedius and by Amazing to break down our next game, Misfits versus Unicorns of Love. But first, let's wrap up our player of the game of that last match. And Sjokz won it. And Amazing called it in the beginning. He said this would be a good change for H2K. This would be the beginning of something positive, and a win definitely is.
Yeah, but I can't believe that Trevor is right.
Outside of how important this is for H2K, we're just mad that Trevor is right.
But to be fair, I must admit that Sjokz definitely, I like the change that he brought to H2K. I felt like that they were more proactive. We're starting to see more of an identity. And while it did help that Rocket did not play properly to their win conditions, I think this is definitely a positive sign for H2K.
Well, fantastic win for them. Now moving on to Misfits versus the Unicorns of Love. Misfits Gaming's second year in the LCS is well underway, and this time they are going for the top spot. At least that is what we expected before the split, since they reached the summer finals. They took SKT to 5 games at Worlds, but things haven't been going swimmingly, I would say, so far. Ups and downs, and notably a big down last week when they went 0-2 versus Rocket and Giants. So, Vedius, what's going on with this team right now? Why did they lose those 2 games?
So last week, I feel like a big factor for them was in the jungle. Maxlore, he really just seemed to be off his game. His shot calling seemed off. His early game decision-making just seemed to be out of the loop. And I feel like that he was having a bad week. That then further exemplified some of the bigger issues that this team is having in terms of players like in the middle lane, when you look at players like Sencux compared to previously Power of Evil.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Sencux still hasn't filled that hole that Power of Evil basically left, because even though everyone criticized Power of Evil for his champion pool and maybe for his Nashor's Tooth builds on Orianna, he still was this late game carry that he can rely upon, and he was always getting the farm, he was always laning properly, and that's something we haven't seen out of Sencux yet, and I don't think we will.
So does that mean that now Hansama and Alphari, who were already carries last year, but just always got outshone by the damage that Power of Evil put out, do they have to be even more of a carry, and is that possible?
I feel like that the pressure's definitely on them right now, but you also need some of these individual members to step up so that they're not drawbacks onto these 2 individuals that are trying to carry. I feel like that after listening to Alphari on the Euphoria podcast, we did have an opportunity to hear where during the regular season, they're just experimenting, they're trying different things out. Their ultimate goal is to make it to playoffs, but with performances of last week, it might be harder than simply saying that they can secure it.
I don't think that this is the approach they can take anymore. I think that this iteration of Misfits has completely distinct issues to last year's. In last year's, they were outplayed in some kind of team-wide scale where they basically had issues in terms of warding, in terms of not being aggressive enough early game. But I think at this point, they're actually being outplayed mechanically on lanes. And I think this is something you can't magically fix by just having like Hussein talking to the players and like basically making them, holding them accountable. I think this is something that is intrinsically to the players, and I think it may actually be something they cannot fix.
Yeah, they cannot fix. That would be my next question. When you look at those macro things that they evolved on last year, indeed, they definitely took some big strides forward, but it seems like a mechanical issue for individual players, and I know we're mostly talking about Sencux here. Is that going to be a liability that's going to follow them up until playoffs, possibly?
Well, it certainly could, because if you compare Maxlore's performance last week to what we've seen in the past, it's definitely an avenue with which teams could look to take advantage of. Yeah. Today, we've already seen that even if mechanically you might be weaker than your opposition, drafting strong laners and then playing towards that avenue can allow you to build up a lot of advantages. And perhaps this is an avenue in which teams can look to punish Misfits in the future.
We wouldn't be analysts if we wouldn't also be offering solutions and not just talking about the problems. Well, actually, we would. But in this case, we do have something. Vedius, so you came up with the ideal team comp you think should work for Misfits Gaming.
So right now, I feel like that as you identified and we discussed, Alphari and Hansama seem to be the key carries of this Misfits roster in the current split. And you look at this composition and you see 2 carries for Alphari and Hansama, mainly directed towards the late game. You put Sencux on a mid lane champion that can offer roaming power, but also has a decent early to mid game spike that can hold his own in lane. And then you put the jungler and support in Mikyx on facilitators and playmakers that start initiations. And this way you make the most out of your 2 strengths in Hansama Alphari, you mitigate the weaknesses in Sencux, and you allow the arguably mechanical weak points of this composition right now in terms of Maxlore and put him on something that can just help contribute to the success of his carry.
So you count that weak performance, as you say, by Maxlore last week as enough of a problem that is something they will now have to actively play around?
I think given when you look back at some of the earlier performances when he played Lee Sin in his first week and he missed a Q in his very first tower dive, and then you compare it to his Sejuani performances where he just seems to be utilizing his superior knowledge, that to me demonstrates a better avenue, style of champion for their current performance.
Why do you giggle to superior knowledge?
Nothing. I just think for in general, like for Misfits, it's really important that they kind of find a way to basically be more active and find ways to create leads. Like obviously you have to like just take away like the weakness of Sencux and basically put him on something safe. But it's the same kind of issue that Fnatic had for some time where Caps was over-aggressive or did plays that he wasn't supposed to do. I think you have to kind of like lift Sencux up and assist him in some kind of way because he doesn't get any kind of jungle help right now
well,
either.
If anything, we want to see Misfits evolving. They will be looking to finish the first half of the split with a win as they face off against the Unicorns of Love. Let's head over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Drakos, joined by Martin Deficio. And it's a good day, Deficio. Do you know why?
I kind of have an idea.
That's right, because Sencux gave me a Valentine and not you.
I take it. It's mine. It's Danish. There we go.
All right, well, let's talk about Sencux's team since you just want to take everything away from me. They're going to be on the blue side, and it is, of course, Misfits Gaming. Now, Sencux is a man we have to talk about, not just because he gave me a Valentine that you then stole, but also because he has been a bit of a question mark when it comes to this team.
Cut to the coach. Yeah, it's been rough for him. I think he's still trying to figure out what kind of style he needs to play on Misfits for them to succeed. I like him on the roaming champions, but so far that's not really been successful. Same thing for some of the big carries.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Want to see what he's going to pull out today, if he can find that niche role for himself. But facing Misfits tonight, we've got Unicorns of Love. They're looking to pick up their second win of the split. Now, this is a team that I feel like has been looking better, but it still hasn't quite come together into those wins.
I love that Kold and Exileh right here on our screens have been playing more together. We see Kold gank the mid lane 3 to 4 times in the early game. Exileh gets out of his laning phase. Oh, by the way, the crowd's also saying for WhiteKnight, it is his birthday. He's been around for a long time, but not always in the LCS. Now he's on the stage. I mean, get a win on your birthday? Why
Happy birthday to White, and that would be good. And this is the time. If you are Unicorns of Love and you want to take a win off Misfits, this is the time, man. Misfits have been struggling. They've looked shaky. We heard from Alphari. We heard from Vedius talking about hearing from Alphari that this is a team that's struggling. Communication not going the way that they want it to. A lot of these 1-3-1 compositions not working out. And now I want to see what they're going to bring to the table today and how it's going to match up against Unicorns of Love. Because they're a team that's been progressing, I feel like, week to week very rapidly.
Their team has learned that drafting good teamfight comps is a nice way to play the game. You don't have to play fancy 1-3-1 comps. You can go for strong backline dive, a scaling mid laner that can one-shot carries, and that style can work for the Unicorns of Love and can definitely work against Misfits, who's been losing in some of these late games when they're trying to play the more fancy drafts that can get outscaled. But pick a man face, 8.3. Not too many things have changed. Azir has still been banned in 2 of our games despite the nerfs to his early game. We have seen slightly less stopwatches and slightly less spellbooks in the game, so that's at least a nice change.
It is good to see, but as we get through some of the more standard bans in this portion of Champions Select, let's take a look back on some of the team fighting that we're talking about for Unicorns of Love, show some of the improvement that they've been able to make happen, especially in their game versus Fnatic.
Yeah, this was a big one, obviously, when Fnatic were pushing for the turret and Unicorns of Love instantly realized, oh wait, Source is not here yet, we can just engage onto them, and the Xayah Rakan combo actually works for them because it gives them engage they can use. Now obviously, just when we're highlighting the good team fighting, we get Fnatic's team fight against them, which ultimately meant that Unicorns of Love did not win this game, had good moments, came close, then this happened.
They were on the precipice, though, and we have to give them that credit. They did look good, of course, overstepped in the end, but I want to see if they're going to go towards the same things today. Vladimir already taken off the board. That's a big team fighting pick.
Also, fine for Unicorns that gets removed, because it's been a pick used against them in the past, but of course WhiteKnight had a good performance on it last week. GP banned because Alphari is the best gangplank in Europe, so that makes a lot of sense on their side, and Unicorns tend to hate Tahm Kench and just ban it every game.
But Galio going to get the first pick. I think it's the first time we have not seen a Ryze first pick today.
Fun fact, Sencux loves Galio, it's his style, but he's 0-2 on the champion so far in the UOL. It's not been working out for Misfits when they've used it. Issues snowballing the side lanes. It's kind of hurt the team a bit, but I still like it. I think Galio is super, super strong. Gnar for WhiteKnight, very early on being drafted. Now, Camille is banned, which of course could be one of the answers to it, so it does make it a little bit safer. Alphari's Jace is a possibility if you want to try and stomp the top lane. but you can still just take a tank and accept that you are losing the early laning phase a little bit, but have great scaling.
And two things that I love, putting Sencux on a champion he's comfortable on, even if it hasn't netted them a lot of wins. And of course, the Xayah. We talked about Xayah Rakan being huge for Unicorns of Love in their match versus Fnatic. I want to see if they get the full combo here.
And you really don't want to take Rakan now if you're Misfits, because alone Rakan is extremely weak. He really needs Xayah to be useful. So the fact that Unicorns are locking in Xayah here gives them the option to take Rakan next time, because they know Misfits will not grab it, unless there is a very important pick they have to take and then accept the Rakan can get banned away.
And I feel like Deficio, the Galio pick looks so good for Sencux, but this Ezreal pick for Hansama is a big question mark for me. This guy has been insane on hyper carries. He's been often the sole carry. That's true, Kog'Maw's gone.
For now, at least, it did receive quite nerf, and there's the Rakan, of course. Now, another smart thing about grabbing the Xayah for Unicorns of Love is they prevented Misfits from picking Xayah Rakan, and Xayah Rakan with Galio is a dirty combo. You can always force fights in the bottom lane, smack Galio as it comes down, and you can really take over that side of the map. But again, that was completely denied. I think so far Unicorns of Love will be happy with this. I still like Jarvan as an answer to Xayah. We always talk about it. She cannot ult out of his own ulti. She just flies up in the air because she can't get over walls with a little jump.
Which seems weird because she's flying, but just trust us, that's, you know, intended.
That's physics, man. You can't fly over walls. Everyone knows that.
Well, for now, Deficio, we take a look at the compositions. We see the bans coming in, Ornn, Corki, limiting some of those comfort picks for Exileh. But what I love about this draft, even the Jace for Alphari taken off the board, we're set up to have fights, Deficio. We've got the Galio Jarvan combo. We've got the Xayah Rakan Gnar on the opposite side. The only champion who doesn't want to fight is Ezreal. We got 5 out of 6 at the moment who want to go in, who want to start something.
Oh, they banned the Rise. We just saw there before we panned down. The Galio, also the Corki ban is also because that is one of the answers to the Galio. Obviously, if you're Exileh in that mid lane, you still need to pick your champion. And Azir is left open in this one. Despite being banned in the first 2 games in the first phase, it does get picked up now. So there's scaling on the side of the mid laner, but I feel like it's less attractive for Kold to hard camp the Azir lane early on compared to when it's a Rise that Exileh is playing. So we might see Kold put his attention elsewhere, top side early, into bot lane once we get level 6 on Xayah Rakan.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. That's a Malphite. That, I'm not sure where that's going to go.
Top lane.
Top lane indeed for Alphari. This is a new one. I thought it might be Mikyx. He's known as the guy who likes to pick up the weird stuff, but Malphite comes in the top lane.
Look at this. Jarvan Malphite with a Galio ulti to follow. They're trying to dive that backline really hard. Now, a very quick Xayah ulti can prevent some of that, but again, you will still be stuck in the Jarvan ulti. Look at the wombo combo.
Here's the thing, Malphite and Jarvan are both unstoppable in their ulti animations, so even if Azir pushes Emperor's Divide...
that's not gonna work, though. It's just... Samux can avoid some of the damage, at
That's
least.
very true.
And that's about it for him, but the wombo combo of locked into a Jarvan ulti with a Malphite hitting you, with then a Galio ulti hitting you, and a Braum ulti, just to follow up, he wants to be part of it. That's insane when it comes to wombo combos, if they can actually hit either Samux or Exileh in that back line. This is kind of what Fnatic wanted to do as well against Unicorns. They drafted a ton of champions that can reach the back line.
Okay, I agree, but Fnatic had a Sivir. Fnatic had that inevitable late game hyperscaling threat. I see 3 champions who are going to ult and then are going to struggle to do a lot in the team fight to follow. And Ezreal is the carry backing them up, Deficio.
It's full AP Galio. That is still a ton of damage coming in. I think if you execute the engage properly, you will always kill one of the carries, at least. However, if Unicorns of Love, despite not having a disengaged comp, if they can manage to survive the initial wombo combo, they can then win the team fights with Azir and Xayah, and they're very consistent DPS coming after. It's just, their comp is also diving the enemy backline, because they have Zac and they have Rakan.
Okay. So, normally when we see 1-3-1, it's like who can get a lead first wins the game. What happens when we see 2 comps that just want to team fight, Deficio? Is it the same thing? Is it just whoever gets a lead is going to win the game?
I mean, of course, if you get a big early advantage and you're just stronger in the team fight, that's great. But a lot of it comes down to execution now. Can the Malphite hit something with that ult when he flies in and time it with a Galio ult? Or is he going to whiff it completely and suddenly Malphite is useless? It's going to be really interesting to see these big fights because both teams have so much engaged. And the carries are kind of left alone.
Look, and now we're ready for a fight. I think this is exactly what people want. We had 2 patches where it was sitting back, where it was playing safe, where it was all about scaling. Misfits clearly determined to mix things up as they head onto the Rift. Deficio, I'm ready. I'm excited.
Are you excited, Drakos?
I feel it.
Are you emotionally invested,
I'm so
into
invested.
these drafts?
On the one hand, it's hard because it's hard to pick a lane to watch, Deficio. That's my biggest struggle right now because every single one of these lane matchups is interesting to me. Except, I mean, bot lane, UOL clearly want to do stuff. I'm not so convinced that Misfits want to do stuff on the bottom side.
Well, I mean, when you play Braum Ezreal, yes, you are fine just farming until Ezreal can go back, get Tia and Sheen, return to lane, and if he ever feels like someone can kill him, he just farms with Q from range. So that's not always the most exciting thing. But then you add in the potential Galio in case something happens. I'm more looking topside though. Alphari gets level 6. They tower dive this Gnar. I guarantee you, if Misfits do not fall behind early in that top lane, they're going to tower dive WhiteKnight.
And look, Deficio, there's no stopwatches. WhiteKnight is not opted for that. He has the area as his keystone. We'll check out what secondary tree he has momentarily, but he doesn't have that kind of get-out-of-jail-free card punishment tool to shut down those tower dives.
And look at this, everyone, as Drakos has highlighted. Way less stopwatches, big change. Spellbooks, let's count the amount of spellbooks in this game. 1 on Misfits' side. 1 on the other side. I almost said 0. I started from top, went down, and I started talking when I looked at WhiteKnight
Supports
already.
matter too, Deficio. You
Fine.
count them.
2 spellbooks. Last patch, we had games with like 6, 7 spellbooks in it. It got nerfed on patch 8.3, lost 10% of that CDR for summoner spells. It is a big deal, of course. So way less people are going to take it, and that is a good change for the game.
Definitely is the case, but recently we've seen Misfits struggling a lot. We heard on the Euphoria podcast featuring Drakos and Deficio that Alphari, not happy with the team's performance, wanted to rate the team 8th place. Insisted on it, said they are not a top 3 team. They're not even a contender at this moment. And that's pretty rough if you're a Misfits fan.
I mean, he basically got mad at us for saying, no, Misfits should be higher. It was one bad week, calm down. But no, he really felt like there was a lot of problems. A lot of it, according to Alphari, came down to communication issues. They're not calling all the information they need to. They're not setting up plays in advance. And that is a big problem for Misfits and why they started losing games, because they lost to Giants and they lost to Rocket. They didn't even get a kill against Rocket.
There goes the classic Xayah Rakan all in at level 2. Hansama is ready though, as level 2 is matched. But Deficio, it's good we talk about that, because let me tell you, I learned this lesson in solo queue, and it's a valid lesson here. If all everyone on your team has to do is press R, you don't need to communicate. One guy pushes R, everybody else follows up, and it feels like if Misfits want to patch up some of the communication issues, this is the perfect comp to do it.
I gotta say, those people down in Silver 2 with you have great coordination if you can just alt-click Rs and it will work. What I see is Malphite ults, and Galio is not ready. He's sitting somewhere else, and then Jarvan doesn't follow up in time, and Malphite just kind of ulted on his own, and then suddenly the wombo combo that was supposed to happen by clicking R, it never happened. Misfits can't make that mistake, Drakos. They all gotta go in together, because they need to destroy. They had a shotgun.
I mean,
One shot,
do you
bam,
really
kill
want to
someone.
compare the level of decision-making between playing a complex 1-3-1 comp with a Rengar in the jungle
I mean,
and
I agree, it's
Malphite,
easier.
Jarvan, Galio? I mean, I agree. There is still room for mistake, and it's something that Unicorns of Love are going to have to punish, because we look at the opposite side. We talk about steady improvement for Unicorns of Love, but it still has not been enough to net them those wins. However, the bot side still continue to play aggressive here, trying to shut it down. Surprisingly, though, Deficio, Misfits actually have the push on the bottom lane.
I mean, that's the thing about Braum, obviously, when he plays against things like Rakan. When Rakan jumps his AD carry, he steps in between, puts up the shield, and suddenly Xayah doesn't hit the AD carry. And then Ezreal can just safely sit back and push and farm. So Braum is always a great answer against these kind of engaged supports. We're going to have to see if Unicorns of Love can keep playing aggressive, because as we talked about before here, it's hard for Kold to kind of hard camp mid lane in this game when it's the Azir sitting in there. And top lane as well. I mean, you kind of need the Mega Gnar for the gank setup. Alphari, though, is already level 5. That's a big wave going to WhiteKnight, though. I'm looking for level 6. 6 on Malphite, 6 on Galio. See if you can tower dive this Gnar.
Stacking a big wave, too. Making use a little bit of the AoE to start wave
nice.
clearing. Good sidestep from Hansama. Not going to find much follow-up. Totoro is going to look for a path out now. But both teams just firing back at each other. Unfortunately for Totoro, almost out of mana and not a whole lot of regen available to him. So we'll make it difficult if he wants to continue those engages moving forward. And of course, looking at Hansama, he's got the Klepto, and he's just going to start out gold valuing the Xayah, at least here, when it comes to moving towards that first item.
Yep, he's not getting forced back early. He will get Tia and Sheen. He will be a very happy Ezreal. Alphari get to push in this lane on top side as well. He is running Comet, as you guys can see on the Malphite. Looking just for a little bit extra poke damage. Obviously, not gonna benefit in that greatly in the late game. It's mainly just for early laning phase.
Exileh still taking a lot of poke there, and the full AP Galio, just double Dorans for now, but you can see pretty difficult to trade against someone specifically designed to beat mages.
Also someone who can build Abyssal Mask first when he's against double AP from mid and jungle, Zac and Azir in this case. So it can be a good choice for Sencux. Maxlore is sneaking his way down bottom side.
Gets a bit of vision, makes sure his bot lane can back and clears out some wards as well. So good use of the pressure that he has across the map. Now, Deficio, I want to check in on the mid lane, because we've been talking a lot about Exileh. We've been talking a lot about Unicorns of Love. Exileh, he's been stepping up. But this is a very different champion for him. Azir has not looked the best. And this time around, you can see that jungle proximity. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for Kold to support him the way we saw in week 4. So I'm wondering if we can see the same growth that we've seen in the past few weeks.
Well, now it's a lot about teamfight positioning for him. And when he did play the Azir earlier in the LCS, he got caught out a few times and ended up dying because of it. So very, very important that doesn't happen for him this time around. Because again, you're against a shotgun wombo combo. If you stand in the wrong spot at the wrong time, you get 3 ults in your face and you die. And that's basically what Misfits wants to do.
Yeah, and right now it's not even going to be 3 ults. It's just going to be an EQ. Totoro will make his way out, but takes half his health before he can make it back to the laning phase. No pots in his inventory either. He's going to need Gleaming Quill to bring him back to 100% health. Don't really see that happen in Deficio.
That also means now that Misfits fully control the bot side of the map. All the wards are in their favor. They can see everything happening. They're the ones who can set up a play on the bottom side with this Galio. Now Sencux is moving down, knowing he's currently not spotted.
Level 6 for J4 as well. They have everything they need if they just want to push the buttons. Stopwatch available for Totoro, but it's not going to help Samux. No level 6. Just leave the in immediately, trying to find the follow-up. Totoro does go golden. Can he make his way out? The taunt is flawless. Means they are going to take him down for first blood. Now looking to fire back. Kold is here with the steam. We'll try to back out. Unstoppable can bring him to safety. Pull Sencux back into the tower. Maxlore's so low, but he's going to make it out as well. So Unicorns of Love fail to find the 1-for-1, but will force a few more flashes. Exileh's on his way down, but it's too little too late.
And that looked risky, but because of all the setup from Misfits on that bottom side, with all that control, both mid and bot lane, they had enough time to do this. You saw here Exileh came down towards the end. Couldn't roam early, wasn't 100% sure what's going to happen and when it would happen. Oh, dirty play from Ansama. That's another good thing about placing wards. You can suddenly see things like a blue buff being taken, and you can steal it.
And now this sucks for Samux. The spam from Ansama to get the wave pressure. But let's look at this tower dive one more time, Mark.
Yeah, so because Samux is not sitting with ulti yet, they want to jump him, but they don't actually get any initial CC, stopping Samux from flashing away. And that's why he gets out in time, and while they do switch over, it is so close for Unicorns of Love to get that return kill on Maxlore, but they can't get it in time, make it with a good shield. And as you guys can see in the minimap, Exileh not able to move a lot earlier for this. So Misfits, despite going for an aggressive early dive, did all manage to get out, but they had to use some flashes. Sencux is now on cooldown, same for Maxlore.
And you look at the mid lane, Exileh's now in a bit of an awkward spot. His mid laner roams down, grabs a kill. That means he's one step closer to Abyssal Mask. In the meantime, Exileh have to stop off at that Null Magic Mantle just to sit comfortably in the lane. Can't even rush the Nashers up against Sencux when he's just so strong.
Right, and despite Misfits using their tempo right there to set up the bot lane play, Unicorns of Love didn't get anything in return. So the bot side is still just all blue wards. Misfits can set up the exact same play the next time Sencux ult is ready. This time there's no Hourglass, or sorry, stopwatch on the Rakan. That's another kill probably for Misfits and potentially the first tower of the game. They can also still go top lane and play around the Malphite ult. Like, there are 2 lanes Sencux can go to and secure a kill. Kold now is trying to fight for that vision, but Mikyx is roaming first. Misfits are controlling bot side, so you can't kill the control wards in the river if you are Unicorns of Love.
And sacrificing topside, Alphari left alone on an island, not something we always see. Usually it's the GP and he's farming up safely, but he's still farming even.
Oh, they get it. Yes, they got the first one. And now they lost theirs. No, they're fighting for it.
For the 2v2, they are going to get the taunt. Does get pulled right back in. Nice play coming in from Unicorns of Love. Exileh is still alive. Sencux going to look to grab a kill back. Flash out to safety. Nice movement coming in. Kold may look for the re-engage here. Totoro on the retreat, though, as a bad trade goes against him. Unicorns of Love finally find a chance to fire back.
Very important for them. They found a little window to sneak in and kill a control ward and also take the fight. Sencux's ulti was not ready. It's up now, so just a few seconds on that one. But big play here from Unicorns. Kold waiting around, knowing Maxlore's gonna show up. Instantly they jump in, they chain CC the Jarvan, and they secure the kill. Really good combo, and this is Kold and Exileh together. The recipe for success, if you're the Unicorns of Love in the early game, it's these two guys playing next to each other. It's not ganks right now for Kold, but it was a 2v2 fight in Unicorn's favor.
Now, Deficio, when we looked at this draft, I was skeptical about putting Hans Sama on Ezreal. I thought it might not be the right choice because we've seen this team be so reliant on Kog'Maw. But with the nerfs, they decided to go for it, and it looks like it's working out very well for them. Even before the bottom lane dive, they had the pressure. You could see right before we swapped that he had a big CS lead. And normally, you look at Misfits, the only thing you see from Hans Sama is that Kog'Maw. Look at that. 6% more damage when he's on the Kog'Maw. Massive spike in his KDA. Everything else has not looked good. But this game could be a different story.
It could definitely be. The main reason this pick has been so successful for them is because when they go to late game, he becomes the big carry and they win late game team fights. Without it, they've often found themselves in situations where they didn't win late game fights. They would make mistakes around a Baron and lose it and then couldn't get back into the game. Ezreal is amazing on 2 items. That's what they're looking to really abuse with this Ezreal pick. Also, of course, the very safe laning phase against Xayah Rakan. And once again, kind of looking at Misfits controlling bot lane. But the fact that Kold got in there, killed that control ward, won the little trade against Sencux, and Maxlore, that was big for Unicorns. Bought them a lot of time for them to set up their vision control and avoid a easy follow-up dive from the Galio. And now, of course, Misfits gonna get it back. Welcome to League of Legends.
Using the pressure, taking turns, finding an opportunity to get in. Of course, I checked in on the top side. Alphari doing a very good job protecting the tower. You thought maybe Gnar would have a bigger advantage here. He should have the wave pressure. He should be able to push in, but so far the tower is still alive and healthy, so Misfits aren't really under any pressure to play around top side.
I think WhiteKnight are fine just saying, you know what, I need the Black Cleaver before I'm a big threat against, of course, an armor stacking champion like Malphite. He will get it, and of course just eventually take over the side lane completely. Let's see what happens with the Drake, because it is started. Samux and... No, never mind. They're just gonna back away from this one. Misfits secure second Drake for themselves. Or was it the first one? And
first one.
we just instantly put it up.
12 minutes. They do have the 1k gold lead in their favor. Things looking pretty good. A lot of that, of course, is going to come from Kleptomancy on the Ezreal.
Everything right there tricked. Came up instantly. It was another mounted Drake coming. I was like, they didn't kill it yet. But they did. It was only the first Drake. You're correct, Drakos? Oh, WhiteKnight.
Sencux could be in trouble. Still quite tanky. Is going to be able to find the multi-man taunt. They've locked themselves in the cage. That's not what they need.
He's alive.
Exileh now retreating. Flash forward. The Winds of War. Easy pickup for Sencux. Not the engage Unicorns wanted.
But WhiteKnight even came down. It was a 3v2 when it started. And yet they barely got any damage on Maxlore and Sencux. And this time Unicorns lose the skirmish. And now they'll have to accept that the river is lost once again. It's 1 kill for each team, and they take over the vision for at least a minute. Now it's going back in Misfits' favor. Already had to clear out the bot lane. Let's see what happens. So, engaged in, and the ult from Exileh didn't exactly do what he wanted here. So WhiteKnight didn't even get in range to get autos off before now. And he only got 1. And then he got a Q before that. So while he was here, he couldn't do anything because no one got knocked back into him. And suddenly, Misfits win a 2v3.
And you're ready, you know, Maxlore was ready to TP in. He could have ulted, he could have turned it around so quickly. Just slight miscalculation from Exileh. With the Azir ultimate, the Emperor's Divide means that that does not go at all the way they needed it to. And all too easy for Sencux to get out that damage. Jarvan locks him in the pit. Easy to land the taunt, easy to land the follow-up. Does burn the flash to chase him down. Maybe that's something that Unicorns of Love can look to exploit, but gold lead continues to grow now for Misfits as we approach the 15-minute mark. And we're just waiting for that shotgun to come online, Deficio.
Yes, we are. Again, top lane is still an option for them if they want to make a play and get that turret. Bot lane is where they found success before. Iceborne Gauntlet is fully completed from Hans Sama's side, so he's fairly strong at this point. Hard to take down with the armor he's stacking because, well, you look at Samux on his side. Of course, didn't complete the SS Reaver just yet. Exileh is stealing away a red buff for himself. Sneaky play.
Not the most standard play, but Kold is there to back him up as well. And gotta say, these guys have been playing really well as a duo, moving across the map together. This is the kind of communication that Kold talked about improving. Sadly, it hasn't worked out 100% for them thus far. A few missteps, but did go 1 for 1 early on. Came to making that mid lane play. Samux now has to be careful though. Mikyx moving with a lot of confidence, forcing the ult out, but here comes the re-engage. Unbreakable still there, so not gonna find anything else. Meanwhile, on the top side, still just the battle for vision, and Maxlore in absolute control here. So much laid down.
It was very smart that Misfits backed away because TP was available for WhiteKnight, and there's a red ward behind Hansama in the bottom lane that was placed just specifically so that WhiteKnight could TP on the ward you see on the screen here. But they backed away instantly as the fight started, and there was no chance for WhiteKnight to abuse it. Meanwhile, top lane is where Misfits are looking at the moment. The tower is currently sitting there at almost full HP, but WhiteKnight, he knows. He's like backing away. He's like, okay, guys, we're bot side with all our vision and our jungler.
But I don't know if Exileh knows. Jarvan's on the way. Malphite's on the way. Exileh's feeling frisky. This is exactly how he likes to play. He likes to play on the edge. He likes to play forward. He thinks he's got the turn. But Misfits, are they going to turn it back? They're waiting. Pull the Galio into the middle of the team. Give us the two-man. We'll find the follow-up, baby. That's the shotgun. One shot. Making it look easy on the turn and burn here. Unicorns will love running. Tails between their legs. Not what they needed as Alphari grabs the double.
Kold turned around and said, I hate you, team. I'm going to deliver this guy who can taunt our carries. And then suddenly, it says of the easiest ult for Alphari ever. Unicorns of Love knew there were multiple members topside when they made this play. WhiteKnight backed off the tower. He's like, guys, I'm going to get killed up here. I'm just going to step away. And they still went for the play mid lane. For some reason, they did not expect Misfits to be there. But they pulled a taunting Galio.
I feel like they must have been convinced that they were going topside. But they had the wrong read. Exileh steps forward.
He'd already backed away. Gnar left. There's no one hitting the tower. Clearly they're not still there. Look at the minimap right now. Gnar can see no one is top lane. And yet Unicorns of Love are saying, let's take this fight. Sencux, smart, just charges up the taunt. Knows he's gonna get pulled in. Exileh gets taunted. And of course he gets wombo comboed. Kold just killed his own mid laner. Don't do that at home.
It's not quite picking up a teammate and spitting them into the enemy from Tom Kench. But it's damn close. You can't afford to make those small mistakes, Deficio. We talked
Not a
about
small
what
mistake.
happens.
Very big mistake.
But what have they gotten out of it? Well, Deficio, a 4K gold lead now as they grab Tower First Blood, as they grab a few more kills, 4-1. You can see gold leads just about everywhere. A lot of that going to be the global gold.
We kept talking about the wombo combo, how important the initial engage is for Misfits.
But we didn't think about the Zac as a part of the wombo combo.
We didn't think the Zac would be part of it. Of course not, but it also just comes down to Unicorns of Love simply not respecting that everyone from Misfits had already left the top lane. They would either be in base or near mid lane. And I have to guess that Unicorns of Love thought they'd gone back to base. And they saw an easy kill onto Sencux because they had so many members coming mid. That backfired pretty hard.
Not all you need. And unfortunately, this is the kind of lead that is very difficult to come back from. Maybe if you deny the shotgun, maybe if you deny the combo of the Galio, the Jarvan, the Malphite, you can make stuff happen. I love the sound too, Quick Shot. Now Rift Herald's been summoned. Unicorns of Love going to try to get an objective back in the meantime. Oh.
I went back also just to look at the fight. Exileh's cleanse was available. Had he been quick, he could have cleansed out of the taunt and then flashed the Malphite ult. But I don't think he expected everything to happen that fast.
I mean, they clearly thought that no one was going to be there.
Yeah. There was outplay potential.
Oh no, it's happening again. Rinse and repeat. That's all too easy for them. There's a follow-up from the Galio. Exileh is going to make his way out, trying to pull one back. Let's see if they get a pick on the support. The chain CC is there, but Misfits have their eye on the tower. Gonna grab it and walk away. Not much else for them to take.
Misfits suddenly looking good in terms of kills, despite a fairly slow early game, where Unicorns of Love was they were doing fine. They were kind of holding on. They were farming. Exileh and Kold together got that one important kill. But obviously, if the first teamfight Misfit gets results in kills plus turrets, then you start falling behind a lot of you Unicorns of Love. And when you're against so much engage on the side of Misfits, it's really hard to prevent them from forcing fights on you. You can normally just sit and like wave clear with Xayah, Azir for 20 minutes if the enemy team is not running a lot of hard engage. But again, they have Jarvan, Malphite plus Galio ult. They can always tower dive you. They can always jump you. You're never safe when you're farming if you're Unicorns of Love.
Here's the worst part. Even if you somehow manage to find an engage, Galio's ult's technically supposed to be like a disengaged defensive tool or paired with another offensive tool. So even if you catch Hansama out, you're not going to kill him. He's going to get a Braum shield immediately in front of him. He's going to have the Galio to reduce the damage. This is going to be so difficult for Unicorns of Love to play from behind.
It's going to require perfect team fighting. Like, none of the carries can get caught in the initial engage, like, at all. Exileh needs to stay back. Nobody gets 2 items. He's going to be the big one we're looking at, who dashes out of the initial engage or flashes out of the Malphite ult and then returns enough damage to try and kill one of the frontline players. It's either the Jarvan or it's going to be the Malphite he's dealing with most of the time, because Galio will just walk out right after he ults.
And Misfits are just looking so dominant right now. Previously in the season, their highest gold difference at 20 was 3.8k. You can see now that it's much, much bigger, of course, a minute later, but very confident snowball coming in from the Misfits lineup, and clearly comfortable just continuously pulling the trigger on this style of composition.
Kold just confused that Sencux is no longer his teammate. Thought it was fine to help Sencux engage, but it wasn't.
Flag and drag comes in, not going to be the focus though, because Exileh has to retreat the flat forward on the taunt, looks for the disengage. Nice body block comes in from Totoro to save his ally. They're going to stop the bleeding from now. WhiteKnight sadly going to have to cancel the TP. Does mean the Misfits have absolute control on the top side.
Yeah, I love the way they're playing around the enemy jungle here, trying to look for fights. When Unicorns of Love will struggle to kind of find them and stop them. Exileh's back in base. Baron is started 21 minutes into the game. 4 members from Unicorns still around. Kold, Flash, and Smite, of course, available. Sencux trying to taunt him before he gets in. There's no Braum ult to deny. They're fighting.
Unstoppable Force just looking for the delete. Instantly, Totoro is gone. Not going to get the chance. Already used the Feather Storm as well. Sencux still has the ult available. It's going to take someone else to get the fight started, but both J4 and the Malphite are missing the ultimate, so Misfits are just going to back off, content to extend the gold lead for now. Mikito may have to be careful. Is going to make it out safely.
At least here the Unicorns of Love stopped the Baron. Misfits, they knew there's a chance we just have to take a kill with this and then step away, because there's a risk of Kold stealing this Baron. So I think both teams did exactly what they could in that situation. Misfits didn't risk a 50-50, got a kill, and Unicorns only lost 1 member, but stopped the Baron. So I guess this specific play ended up technically being a win-win for both teams. Alphari secures a very easy kill for his team. Second ult for him, smacking right in the face after poor support.
Now we check in. There you go. WhiteKnight still aggressive as ever, pushing on the side lane. You talked about him eventually winning. He's getting closer to the Frozen Mountain. He has the Black Cleaver, but it looks like Alphari has enough of a lead that it's not quite as big of a problem as it should have been.
Exactly. There's some kills on this Malphite now. It's a very slow grind for WhiteKnight with him if he actually wants to try and kill Alphari. So Alphari can almost all the time just walk away if he ever feels like he can die. And then he just tries to wave flame all the time. Sunfire's in there, smack into the ground with his E, and these minions die extremely quick.
Smack to the ground, this is.
Isn't that what the ability is called? Smack to the ground?
It's called Smack to the ground. Well, Hansama going to use his shot from his arm gauntlet thing.
There you go.
To push out the mid lane. And Misfits remain in control of the vision, and I think that's probably one of the most impressive parts of this game so far for Misfits, is the vision control that they've been able to lay down, is the control that they've exerted across the map. It looks like they may try to use this to take the Baron, but not looking to take any large risks here. Still giving a lot of respect over to Unicorns of Love.
Step 1 is always get river control with the control wards. That's exactly what they've been doing so far. Now step 2 is push the lanes again, and step 3 is go into the enemy jungle and force them out. See if you can get a fight. If you can't find it, it's okay to go back to base, restock all the wards, because then the enemy team has to walk in and kill your current wards, and by the time they're done doing that, you're already back on the map with new wards, and they're like, really? We just spent like 2 minutes killing all your wards, and you return now with 10 new control wards, and then Unicorns of Love will just constantly be under pressure. We can kind of follow it now. Misfits said, we can't find a fight, recall, it's fine. If Unicorns of Love want to do anything here, it's try to kill these control wards near the Baron. They don't even feel like they can do that, because Sencux and Maxlore are still on the map. And that means now, as you guys can see in the minimap here, we have the Braum and the Ezreal returning from base. Braum has 3 control wards with himself, so he doesn't care that Unicorns just kill 1 or 2 of them, because he can just place a new one. And Unicorns have to kind of recall now if they want to restock and want to spend their goal, and then suddenly Misfits can rush a Baron. It really sucks being this far behind against a team who knows that you can place wards, recall, and then place them again. You don't have to place them only once and then make a play.
Deficio, you're right, it is so difficult, but
look, they have nothing now.
But when do Misfits pull the trigger again, Deficio? That's what I want to know, because right now they're pushing out, they're playing the vision game, they're trying to set up for maybe a clean Baron here, but when do they find the fight?
The moment they realize that some from Unicorns of Love have gone back to base, they can start Baron again. I don't know if they actually saw the recall from Samux. They didn't have a ward in the brush. If they had a ward there, they would have gone instantly to Baron and just started it. Because they could force TP bot, and they could force a team fight with Malphite ult. But I don't think they had vision just when Samux recalled. But they're still starting it now, at least.
Still starting it. You can see that Max, or Alphari rather, did not have the TP available, so opted to come support the team on the Baron. Sencux trying to ward off the remaining members of Unicorns of Love on the opposite side. Going to be difficult to force Kold out of the pit, however. WhiteKnight continues to split pressure on the bottom side. He has the TP available. Unstoppable Force now comes in. Maxlore alone in the pit. They need a little bit more damage to burn through the Baron, but the TP is coming in. Misfits secure the Baron. Sencux alone on the backside. Not going to make it out to safety. The denial as he looks for a path home. Unicorns of Love are on the hunt. Sencux does have the Blast Comb available. Former Danish brothers going toe-to-toe. Sencux can't handle the pressure. He's going to try to take his own life in the base of the enemy.
Oh, Kold wants him. Get the Dane!
Oh, knocked up. Oh! Gets the passive. Can he take him out as well? Winds of War comes in. Not going to be enough. Kold.
Okay, that would have been cool.
Does make it out. It's important to remember, Misfits still get the Baron. Misfits still extend their gold lead. And meanwhile, while Unicorns of Love are chasing around the map, Misfits have already reset and started pressuring.
Great lesson in how to play around Baron from Misfits' side. They also know, okay, we need to stop the Zac from getting into the base. So they use the ulti from Malphite. Could also be a Braum ulti or taunt from a Galio.
They use both. They use all three, actually.
I mean, in the end they did, and that's why, of course, they can't take a fight. Sadly for Sencux, he couldn't ult out in time as well, got interrupted and had to just run away. If Kold wanted to really fully commit for a steal, he flashes or tries to flash into the Baron pit instead of charging up his jump, because the jump can get interrupted, Flash cannot. Still, he tried to get in, couldn't. That's Baron for Misfits. Great use of vision into reset, into vision, into start the Baron. Nice little thing to follow when it's done properly. And Misfits, they get rewarded with the Baron.
And both Sencux and Alphari almost have their ultimates available, so it's going to be very difficult for Unicorns of Love to hold out under this tower. Azir with almost 3 items under his belt can clear waves quite easily, but is also very vulnerable to those dives, as we've already talked about. Emperor's Divide not going to stop the Jarvan, not going to stop Alphari from moving in onto you. Unicorns of Love, are they just playing the scaling game at this point?
They have to. I mean, that or you hope Misfits get so over-aggressive they dive like past 2 turrets and end up suddenly being too far forward and they will die. But if you're Misfits, you don't have to do that. Force them off 1 turret, take the turret. And you might only have to dive at an inhib.
And historically, the patience game has looked very good for Misfits. Something they've been very good about is playing slower in the late game. A few missteps here and there, namely last week on the Maxlore on the Rengar jungle. But the rest of the team looks good. Hansama's so confident that he's going for the Duskblade. He wants to be that Ezreal player. Deficio.
Hiding in the brushes, shooting Qs in your face.
And I mean, look, there's actually no armor
Maxlore,
anywhere on the team.
There's a ward behind you.
He doesn't know that.
They see you.
Spoilers. Oh, does not care, however. Galio ulti is going to come in. Hansama immediately goes over the wall. One member just taken off. Totoro deleted instantly. Samux fires back with a bit of damage, but Misfits in complete control.
Well, we talked about earlier how hard it is for Unicorns to just defend, because there's so many ways to start fights. On the side of Misfits, used once again the wombo combo of the Jarvan, followed by the Galio. Now let's see, can they get the last outer turrets, top and mid? They get the top one. Another wave coming in that we have Samux dealing with. Mid lane turret will go down. Misfits really want to get an inhib Drakos.
And Alphari, level 16. Level 3 Unstoppable Force available if they want to kick a fight off. A lot of damage, a lot of CC available. Easy follow-up, even without the ultimates for Sencux and Maxlore. Not going to push any further, though. Playing slow against the Azir still feels a bit risky.
Well, every time you've spent all your wards, you have a ton of gold racked up, you don't have to risk going for another turret. You can just go back and reset. It's fine, as long as you can still win the following team fights, which is the case for Misfits. It's just the great engage, of course, from Maxlore, who was spotted in that jungle. Unicorns tried to kind of annoy him a little bit, and then he just ulted them and called for his Galio. And then suddenly...
And I mean, this man has no illusions about his job. This is not a damaging Jarvan. Electrocute is his most impactful spell at this point in terms of damage output, and maybe bases from his other abilities. But we're talking Randuin's. He's on the way with a locket for the team.
And man, being this Xayah here, it just it's such a tough game to play. You need that early armor penetration, so it's already in there for Samux side. He wants more crit, he wants more damage, but he has to go through a Malphite with like 250 armor
And a
already.
massive attack speed slow built into his kit.
It's painful to play AD carry against that kind of comp. That's where we look a lot more at the Azir, but it's hard for Exileh to find time to actually auto-attack because they just get engaged on and die.
And both of these carries are hyper-reliant on attack speed, Deficio. The one thing Malphite can deny from you in these fights outside of just everything with a bit of hard CC. And I didn't think we would see a point where Galio in the meta would be the clear AP carry for a team. I always thought he would fill that tanky role, but we've seen it in LCK. And after a week of Galio being permabanned, we're finally seeing it in ULCS as well. Deathcap, Morellonomicon, Abyssal Mask for Sencux. Does a lot of damage.
Yeah, we've seen a few of the EU mid laners find good success on it. Nuke Dog as well. Let's see the fight.
Looking
Maxlore.
for the engage. Is going to find the second auto attack. Alphari immediately into the back line. No chance. The instant turn. They are going to find multiple knockups. Hansama looks for a little bit more damage, but is it going to be enough? Unicorns Love returning the fight. This is bad news. WhiteKnight leaps forward with the wallop. Hansama going to flash out to safety. But only one member has died. Sencux, the full AP Galio, a little too squishy for his own good. Unicorns of Love, can they keep this fight going? Looks like the answer is no.
Well, we were looking for Misfits to maybe go a little bit too deep in some of the fights. Maxlore went out, and then Malphite went in. So there was no jungler in this fight here, and Hansama was on the other side of the wall. Only got to use his ulti. Let's see it again. Maxlore gets poked down, as you guys can see here. Great engage from the Zac. So now Maxlore's going out, and then Malphite is calling, let's go in. And of course he gets a great ulti and good follow-up, but no one else can deal damage other than this ulti from Hansama. So the main carry is on the other side of the wall. The jungler is already out, and there's still a tower. So Unicorns of Love, they found the one opening where Misfits did go too aggressive, and they punished him. I think Alphari is going to be like, okay, next time I will engage with my jungler, and not when he's on the way out.
And they still have an 8k gold lead. They still have a composition that is excellent at shutting down an Azir and a Xayah. But they can't keep afford to making mistakes like that. They can't keep making missteps and letting Unicorns of Love scale up. They're always going to have that shotgun as an answer, but if Unicorns of Love keep playing patient, and the Misfits keep making missteps...
That's kind of the thing, right? If Misfits just play correctly here, they should be able to find another big fight, another Baron, and then win the game. If Unicorns of Love can prevent that from happening, if they can do exactly what they did here, punish a mistake from Misfits' side, they delay the game further. If Unicorns get the Baron, that's a great way to buy another 5-6 minutes in this game, and it will be so key for them. Oh, Exileh.
Oh, taking a lot of damage. Maxlore going to look to go over the wall. Can they find a way out? As multiple members have been locked up. Unicorns of Love are on the back foot. In comes the Galio trying to find the option to make his way out, but he has been locked down. Samux on the backside, all alone. No attack speed left. They're going to cut right through him. Misfits making it look easy. WhiteKnight all alone in the middle of 4. That's the double kill. Sencux still going to look for a bit more. Wins a war. Not quite enough. He wants another kill. Now he's chasing down Kold. Not going to get it, but a beautiful fight for Misfits.
And this time they engage together, and with this comp, with the goal lead, they find the correct engage. They win the fight. 4 kills now on their side. This turret is going to drop. There's a big minion wave top lane as well they can grab. Let's see if they just want to try and finish here. There's 7 seconds on the Rakan, 22 seconds on the Xayah, but they got minions, they got 5 members, they're going for it.
Multiple tanks, attack speed steroid on the Jarvan and the Ezreal can both buff up the team and look to end this. Kold is immediately throwing his body into the mix, hoping to stop them, hoping to buy a little bit of time. TP being used by Alphari, allowing the minion to tank up. Unfortunately, Alphari going to take it in the end. Kold is, of course, going to drop. It's Totoro versus the world. 1 second on Samux as he moves forward, but it may just not be enough. Hansama, no man on the backside. Maybe that's an opportunity, but it's not looking like it. Misfits with their eyes on the Nexus. They're looking for the win here to bring it back. It was the 0-2 week last week, but this time they're starting off with a win.
And this game was blown wide open when we had that fight in the mid lane where Kold and Unicorns of Love took a taunting Galio, put him next to his Azir, and then a Malphite showed up and hit the Azir in the face.
Uninterruptible, by the way.
Yeah.
Do not try to CC the taunting Galio. It will not work out for you.
In the end, that gave a massive goal lead for Misfits, and then we also saw great plays around Baron. The push, the vision, the reset, the vision, the Baron. That was really cool from Misfits' side and something they really wanted to show they could do, because that was something they're really good at last split. and now we got to see it again.
And I like that there was no hesitation. They were willing to burn all of their CC to keep Kold out of the pit. They knew exactly what they wanted in that exchange. They weren't looking for anything else.
What decides if you fist bump or high five? Is it just the first guy doing it? Because the teams are switching it up all the time. Truly one of the big questions here in the EUL.
That's what you're walking away as a big question.
I think that is a big question. Another big question is Vitality versus G2. Match of the week. That's the next one. Who's going to win that one?
We're going to find out. Who'd you predict?
I predicted G2.
I predicted Vitality.
Oh, fighting each other now. That's how I said it.
Yeah, that's what sound. I had the idea of you at a bar late night. Ooh.
Could start a fight.
Could definitely start a fight. All right, well, next up, as Deficio mentioned, it is our match of the week between G2 Esports and Vitality. Let's see what Jankos has to say before taking on the top team.
Hey guys, and welcome to my interview here with the jungler from G2. It's Jankos. And Jankos, before we get started, I have a little gift for you. I bought a Valentine's Day card. They call you the first love king. There you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's beautiful. They also call me the first love king. Yeah.
Well, let's jump into some questions then. G2, you started off 1-3. You've now won 4 in a row. What is it that changed for you guys that means that you're starting to win now?
I think it's mainly that before we sucked and now we don't suck as much, but we still suck. So it's kind of weird because at the very beginning we thought we are decent, but we are not decent. And now we kind of are aware of our mistakes. So we know that we are not the best yet, but I think we are improving pretty fast.
Do you think you're on your way to being the best?
I think we are on a good way, yeah.
Okay, because you play up against Vitality today, and a lot of people would say that they're the best in Europe at the moment. 7-1, only lost to Misfits. You got a bit of a wry smile there. Would you agree with that statement?
I mean, I think Vitality is a good team for sure, but I think the way that they win games is just not. I mean, they just don't look the best, you know. Even though they just don't look like it, and I think we can beat them for sure, yeah.
So you're talking about things like the mini Trupax teleports, the backdoors. Like, it's not a confident win, but it's a win nonetheless.
I mean, it's cool to see that. Like, I mean, their games are really exciting. I mean, I even enjoy them, you know. Hopefully against us, they won't pull off something crazy, and I will be watching in my room after and like, oh my god. But I think I'm really confident in the matchup, yeah.
One of their most confident players is Galio. You know, he's very verbal, very outspoken on Twitter. How is it going into a matchup against someone like that who is very confident in themselves?
I think I'm kind of similar, but I'm not as loud lately because, you know...
Because you're losing a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's pretty exciting to play against Julius, not because he's good, but because he's just really vocal and he's so sure of himself. So winning against him is even more pleasant for me. And then if I lose, then, well, I won't lose, I guess.
So you're saying right now that you're not going to lose against Vitality?
No, I think we'll win for sure, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. We're back with Match of the Week right after this. Make sure you stay tuned.
No level 6, just leaping in immediately, trying to find the follow-up. Totoro does go golden. Can he make his way out? The taunt is flawless. Means they are going to take him down for first blood. Now looking to fire back.
And now the loss there. No, they're fighting for it.
For the 2v2, they are going to get the taunt. Does get pulled right back in. Nice play coming in from Unicorns of Love. Exileh is still alive. Sencux going to look to grab a kill back. Flash out to safety. Play on the edge. He likes to play forward. He thinks he's got turn. But Misfits, are they going to turn it back? They're waiting. Pull the Galio into the middle of the team. Give us the 2-man. We'll find the follow-up, baby. That's the shotgun. Spoilers. Oh. Does not care, however. Galio ulti is going to come in. Hansama immediately goes over the wall. One member just taken off. Totoro. Multiple members have been locked up. Unicorns Lover on the back foot. In comes the Galio trying to find the option to make his way out, but he has been locked down. Samux on the backside, all alone. No attack speed left. They're going to cut right through him. Misfits making it look easy. WhiteKnight all alone. No man on the backside. Maybe that's an opportunity, but it's not looking like it. Misfits with their eyes on the Nexus. They're looking for the win here to bring it back. It was the 0-2 week last week, but this time they're starting off with a win.